Have you ever met someone who seemed unshakable? The kind of person who always carries themselves with confidence, who never falters, who seems immune to pain. Maybe it's that colleague who never lets their guard down, or the father who provides tirelessly without ever admitting exhaustion, or the friend who always says, "I'm fine," no matter what storm is brewing inside. On the surface, they look strong, invincible, even. But if you pause long enough, if you listen carefully between the lines of their words, you'll notice something haunting. A quiet tremor, a fracture carefully hidden beneath the armor. What if I told you that the very image of strength we admire is often nothing more than a mask that hides not power, but fragility? What if behind the polished smile, the rigid posture, and the relentless drive for control lies a truth no one dares to confront? That this strength is often the greatest weakness of all? We live in a world that worships toughness. From an early age, especially in cultures like America's, we are taught to suppress our tears, to man up, to never let them see us bleed. Vulnerability has been branded as weakness, and so we wear the mask of strength like it's our only chance at survival. But here's the paradox. The more we cling to the facade, the further we drift from our tea. So I want to ask you, are you truly strong? Or are you just acting strong? And if it's only an act, how long can you keep performing before the mask becomes unbearable? Because strength, real strength, isn't about never breaking. It's about daring to face the truth of who you are, even when that truth terrifies you. Before we dive deeper into this journey, take a moment to support this channel. Hit the like button if this message already resonates with you, subscribe, and make sure to turn on the notification bell. That way, you will be the first to know when I release the next video filled with insights designed to awaken your mind and transform your inner world. In the United States, strength is almost a religion. From the time we are children, we are fed stories of heroes who never falter, who face every obstacle with unshakable resolve. Boys are told not to cry, that real men don't show weakness. Girls are praised for being resilient, for holding everything together even when they are quietly breaking inside. Somewhere along the way, most of us internalize this lesson. Emotions are dangerous. Vulnerability is shameful. To survive, to succeed, to be accepted, you must always be tough. This cultural script plays out in countless lives. Consider the archetype of the tireless CEO. He works 78 hours a week, pushing his limits to meet quarterly goals, to expand his empire, to maintain the image of a leader who never wavers. When he walks into the boardroom, his posture is flawless, his handshake firm, his voice steady. Colleagues admire him. Investors trust him. Employees depend on him. But the moment the office lights go out and the silence of the night sets in, his chest tightens, his thoughts spiral. What if I fail? What if I lose it all? The truth is, he feels more fragile than he dares to admit. Yet his identity is built entirely on being the strong one. To reveal his fear would mean shattering the very mask that gives him value. Or think about the decorated veteran. On the battlefield, he embodied courage. He faced chaos, danger, and death without blinking. Society hails him as a hero. And yet, when he comes home, the battles don't end, they move inside. The sound of fireworks sends his body into panic. Sleep is haunted by images he cannot erase. He is told to be proud, to move forward, to stand tall. But how does one heal from scars carved into the soul? And because vulnerability is not permitted, he buries his pain, presenting to the world a version of himself that looks composed while silently crumbling within. Then there is the suburban father. He provides for his family, checks every box of responsibility, and ensures that his children have opportunities he never had. To everyone else, he looks dependable, stable, and strong. But what no one sees are the long nights when he stares at the ceiling, unable to silence the question, does anyone truly see me? He has been told that asking for help makes him weak, so he never does. Instead, he carries his loneliness alone, hiding it beneath the mask of a smile. These are not isolated stories. They are woven into the very fabric of American life. We are a culture obsessed with toughness, but what we call strength is often nothing more than denial dressed in armor. It is the art of pretending, perfected so well that even we begin to believe our own act. But denial always has a price. What we suppress does not vanish, it waits. It festers, and it resurfaces in ways that are far more destructive. Insomnia, panic attacks, addictions to alcohol, work, sex, or the endless dopamine loops of social media. We have become a society of performers. How many times have you asked someone, "How are you?" only to hear the automatic response, "I'm good," yet you can see in their eyes that they are not? How often have you given the same answer, even when you felt like you were falling apart inside? The mask has become so habitual that we no longer know where the performance ends and the self begins. This raises a disturbing question. How many of us are truly strong, and how many are simply acting strong? How many smiles are carefully rehearsed? How many handshakes are disguises? How many moments of apparent confidence are nothing more than desperate attempts to avoid being exposed? The truth is that the American ideal of toughness is not resilience, it is repression. It is the demand that you deny your pain long enough to keep functioning, producing, and achieving. And the irony is brutal. The more you cling to this image of strength, the weaker you become inside. Carl Jung once warned, "What you resist persists." Everything you suppress, your fear, your sadness, your doubt, does not disappear. It hides in the shadows, and from there, it shapes your life in ways you don't even realize. So let me ask you again, are you truly strong, or are you just playing a role written by a culture that confuses denial with power? Because if your strength is only a performance, then it isn't strength at all, it's a prison. And the longer you stay inside it, the further you drift from who you really are. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human psyche, gave us two powerful concepts that explain why the strong facade is so dangerous: the persona and the shadow. The persona, according to Jung, is the mask we wear to function in society. It is the role we play to be accepted, the polite professional at work, the confident friend at a party, the reliable parent at home. In itself, the persona is not bad. Without it, we would not be able to navigate the expectations of social life. But the danger begins when we mistake the mask for our real identity. This is exactly what happens with the facade of strength. The mask of toughness becomes so tightly fitted that we forget it is a mask at all. We suppress our tears, hide our doubts, silence our fears, because to reveal them would be to break character. And slowly, the authentic self disappears behind the performance. The tragedy is that while the persona can win us admiration, it can never give us fulfillment. Acceptance purchased at the cost of authenticity always leaves us empty. But the shadow tells a deeper story. The shadow, Jung explained, is everything we reject or repress about ourselves: our anger, our vulnerability, our grief, our shame. These are the parts of us we exile into the unconscious because they do not fit the image we want to project. The more we cling to the facade of strength, the larger our shadow grows. And what is repressed does not simply vanish. It leaks out through sudden bursts of rage, through addictions, through breakdowns, or through the quiet, chronic despair that so many in America carry silently. Nietzsche, in his own fierce way, echoed this truth. He wrote, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." What he meant was not that we should glorify suffering, but that true creativity, true vitality, and true strength come from facing the chaos within, not denying it. Strength is not the absence of weakness. It is the integration of weakness. It is the courage to let the shadow step into the light and to transform it, rather than pretending it does not exist. This is where the American success facade becomes most deceptive. Outwardly, many appear to be thriving: wealth, career, status, the perfect family image on social media. But inwardly, they are starving. They feel like imposters in their own lives, because everything they show the world is a carefully curated persona. Jung would say they are not individuated. They have not united their conscious self with their shadow. Instead, they live divided, alienated from the very essence of who they are. The cost of this division is enormous. Nietzsche warned of what happens when we deny our own depths. We become slaves to the herd, followers of conventions that hollow us out. When we refuse to face our inner chaos, we outsource our lives to the approval of others. We become strong only in appearance, terrified of being exposed, trapped in a brittle shell that cannot withstand the weight of reality. Real strength, both Jung and Nietzsche would argue, requires the opposite. It requires confrontation. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of integrating all the hidden parts of the self, even the ones we fear most. Nietzsche demanded that we embrace our suffering as the raw material of transformation. Strength is not built by avoiding pain, but by making meaning out of it. So when we see the confident executive, the stoic soldier, or the smiling parrot who never admits to breaking, we should not envy them. We should wonder, what is hidden in their shadow? What part of themselves have they sacrificed to maintain this image? Because if strength is only the persona, then it is fragile, it cannot last. It is glass masquerading as steel. And here lies the paradox. The more you project an image of being unshakable, the more pressure you place on yourself to never falter. The mask becomes heavier, the shadow darker, and the soul emptier. Jung warned that the unconscious will not stay buried forever. The parts of us we reject will eventually surface, demanding to be acknowledged, whether through depression, anxiety, or a crisis that shatters the Facade completely. Nietzsche, in his relentless honesty, would ask, "Are you brave enough to face this chaos before it destroys you? Are you willing to confront your shadow, to shed the illusion of strength and build something more dangerous, more authentic, more alive?" Because only then does true strength emerge, not the brittle strength of denial, but the resilient strength of integration. The strong Facade may impress the world, but it will never free you. The only path to freedom is through the very weakness you are trying so hard to hide. If you want proof that the strong Facade is nothing more than a cultural illusion, look at the numbers. In the United States, studies have repeatedly shown that depression, anxiety, and substance abuse are not highest among the poorest or the visibly struggling, but among those who outwardly appear to be doing well. The executives, the high achievers, the role models of society, their success often hides an inner collapse. One 2018 study from the CDC revealed a disturbing reality. Middle-aged men in the US, many of them financially stable and professionally established, represent one of the groups with the highest suicide rates. On paper, these men have achieved everything society tells them should bring fulfillment: careers, families, homes. Yet the inner emptiness is unbearable. Why? Because the performance of strength left no room for authenticity. And it's not only men. American women, despite unprecedented opportunities in the workplace, report record levels of anxiety and depression. They are praised for doing it all, balancing careers, raising families, staying attractive, and keeping up appearances. But doing it all often translates to feeling nothing, because every ounce of energy is spent maintaining the illusion of being unshakable. Beneath the mask, there's exhaustion, loneliness, and often despair. We see this every day in ordinary interactions. When someone asks, "How are you?" the default American answer is almost always, "I'm good." But it's rarely true. That automatic response is the persona in action, a reflexive mask designed to prevent discomfort, to avoid exposing the shadow. Everyone plays along, and so entire conversations become rituals of denial. But denial has consequences. Psychologists point out that repressing emotions doesn't eliminate them, it intensifies them. A man who swallows his anger to look composed may eventually explode in destructive ways. A woman who hides her grief behind a smile may find herself unable to feel joy at all. Suppression does not equal strength. Suppression is fuel for the very suffering we try to avoid. This explains why addictions are so rampant in American life. Alcohol, drugs, overwork, compulsive shopping, endless scrolling on social media. These are not just bad habits. They are anesthetics. There are ways to silence the voice of the shadow, to numb the ache that the persona refuses to acknowledge. As Jung warned, what you do not make conscious will appear in your life as fate. The addictions, the breakdowns, the failed relationships, they are not accidents. They are the unconscious demanding recognition. Consider the epidemic of high-functioning depression. Millions of Americans live with it every day. They wake up, go to work, smile, make small talk, and complete their tasks. To everyone else, they seem fine. But inside, they feel empty, disconnected, detached from life. They may not even recognize it as depression because the mask works so well. This is the hidden weakness of the strong facade. It convinces even the person wearing it that they are okay until the collapse comes. And collapse always comes. Maybe it's a panic attack in the middle of a meeting. Maybe it's the quiet decision to open another bottle late at night. Maybe it's the sudden realization that despite years of effort, the marriage, the career, or the identity built on strength feels meaningless. These moments are not failures. They are signals. They are the psyche's desperate attempt to break through the mask and be seen. Psychology shows us that the cost of pretending is higher than the cost of facing pain. Denial demands constant energy. It drains the soul. But when you dare to face what you've been hiding, when you admit, even to yourself, "I am not okay," you begin to shift from performance to truth. That moment of honesty, however painful, is the seed of transformation. The facade of strength tells us to hide, to numb, to carry the unbearable in silence. But real life, as Jung and Nietzsche both insisted, demands the opposite. It demands confrontation, not denial. And the longer you avoid it, the deeper the shadow grows, until it begins to control your life without your awareness. So the real question is not whether you appear strong to others. The real question is whether you are willing to face yourself. Because until you do, the strength you project is nothing but glass shiny, convincing, but fragile enough to shatter with the slightest blow. If the strong facade is a prison, then the first step to freedom is daring to take off the mask. This sounds simple, but in a society that worships toughness, it is an act of radical courage. For years, perhaps for decades, you've been told that showing pain is weakness, that asking for help is failure, that silence is strength. But these are lies that keep you trapped in the endless performance of being fine. Carl Jung believed that the path to healing begins where we least want to go, into the shadow. The shadow is not just the dark parts of us we fear. It is also the source of our vitality, creativity, and authenticity. By burying our pain, we bury our potential. By silencing our grief, we silence our voice. The journey of individuation, the process of becoming whole, is not about constructing a perfect image. It is about integrating the broken pieces of ourselves and daring to live as a complete, flawed, but authentic human being. So what does this look like in practice? It begins with honesty. Honesty first with yourself. To sit quietly, to look in the mirror, and to admit, "I am not okay." This is not defeat. This is a strength. Because the moment you stop running, the moment you stop pretending, is the moment healing begins. Jung reminded us that neurosis often arises when we refuse to face the suffering that is necessary for transformation. Pain, in this sense, is not punishment. It is an invitation. Nietzsche, in his fierce way, saw suffering as the crucible of greatness. That which does not kill us makes us stronger, he declared, not as a cliché, but as a brutal truth. Life will break you. It will strip away your illusions, confront you with your shadow, and force you into chaos. But within that chaos lies the possibility of rebirth. To embrace your suffering consciously is to discover a strength that no facade can imitate. Practically, this means daring to express what you've been hiding. It could mean opening up to a trusted friend, a therapist, or even yourself through journaling. It could mean allowing yourself to cry after years of holding it in. It could mean admitting that the job you've been clinging to is destroying your soul, or that the marriage you've maintained for appearances is suffocating you. These are not acts of weakness. They are acts of reclamation. It also means learning to set boundaries. The strong Facade thrives on being endlessly available, always saying yes, always performing, always carrying more than you should. True strength is the ability to say no, to withdraw when you need to protect your energy. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." When you stop reacting automatically, when you step back from being everyone else's crutch, you begin to discover what is truly yours. Most importantly, it means redefining what strength really is. Strength is not about never breaking. Strength is about breaking and then rebuilding with awareness. It's about facing your deepest fears and learning to live with them instead of hiding from them. It's about embracing the parts of you that feel unworthy, fragile, even shameful, and realizing that they too belong to your wholeness. This awakening is not easy. It will demand that you confront truths you've avoided for years. It will require you to grieve, to rage, to feel all the emotions you've suppressed behind the mask. But this is the paradox. The very feelings you fear are the doorway to freedom. The tears you hold back are the key to your healing. The shadow you deny is the path to your authenticity. In the end, the Facade of strength is brittle, fragile, destined to break. But when you dare to step into your shadow, when you integrate your chaos, when you embrace your wounds with open eyes, you become something different. Something more dangerous and more alive than any Facade could ever be. You become whole. So the challenge is before you. Will you keep pretending, playing the role society has written for you? Or will you awaken, step into your shadow, and finally discover the kind of strength that cannot be shaken? The choice is yours. But know this, behind the pain you are hiding lies the truest version of yourself, the one you've been searching for all along. If you've listened this far, maybe something inside you already knows the truth. The strong Facade you've been carrying is not your salvation. It is your cage. It may protect you from judgment, it may earn you admiration, but it will never bring you peace. Because peace does not come from pretending. It comes from living as who you truly are, without apology. Carl Jung taught that wholeness, not perfection, is the goal of life. To become whole is to embrace every part of yourself, the confident and the broken, the light and the shadow, the strength and the weakness. Until you dare to hold all of it in your hands, you will forever be split, one self for the world, another hidden in silence. That division is the source of suffering. Integration is the source of freedom. And Nietzsche, with his brutal honesty, reminds us that real strength is born from struggle. Not the struggle of performing strength, but the struggle of tearing down illusions and facing the chaos within. Become who you are, he demanded, not who others expect you to be, not who society rewards, but who you are when the masks fall away. So ask yourself now, what are you still hiding behind the mask? What tears have you not allowed to fall? What truths have you not dared to speak? And more importantly, how much longer can you keep carrying this Facade before it finally collapses under its own weight? Maybe today is the day you stop pretending. Maybe today is the day you admit to yourself first that you are tired of the performance, that you are ready to feel again, that you are ready to risk being seen, even if it means trembling, even if it means breaking, even if it means letting go of the image you've worked so hard to maintain. Because here is the paradox. The moment you stop hiding is the moment you become unshakable. Not because you never break, but because you break consciously. You fall, and you rise with awareness. You meet your shadow, and you no longer fear it. That is a strength no Facade can offer. A strength no one can take away. Behind the pain you've been avoiding lies your truest power. Behind the tears you've been holding back lies your deepest freedom. Behind the shadow you've been denying lies your most authentic self. Stop pretending. Start listening to your pain, because behind that pain lies your true strength. If this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Take a moment now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next journey into the depths of the self. And most importantly, share your thoughts below. Tell me what part of this resonated with you most, what truth hit you hardest, or what mask you're ready to set down. Your story may be the spark that awakens someone else.